Well, my name is Alexei. I represent Viktor Kovshevny, who's the director of the association, and I'm head of international and PR department of this association.
Well, I appreciate this opportunity to be part of MMSteel Business Club again. We had a great time last year, as it was mentioned before.
Good day to all the participants, and thank you to the organizers for setting up this panel discussion. I represent CIS, Russia's largest energy coal producer.
Good evening, everybody in the East. Good morning, everybody in the West. My name is Dina Lindsay. I represent a large international consulting organization, DMT, and would like to share our experience during the global pandemic with you.
Yeah, hi. Thank you very much for giving Orohil the opportunity to present our views on the present pandemic.
According to all estimates, which we have, market participants and statistics, metal scrap collection in Russia dropped by 50% in April on average. This is not only due to some restrictive measures which were imposed by state authorities on companies engaged in scrap collection, but also due to measures restricting the free movement of individuals, obviously. Well, here in this country, as a rule, the amount of scrap collection by individuals, depending on the region, is 50 to 80% of the total procurement. So, thus, even working scrap collecting sites cannot receive scrap in former volumes. So, obviously, also the industry, by all indications, falls within the category of the victims of the pandemic. And we also believe that here in this country, it should have the right to state support. The current situation in some regions of Russia, it leads to price wars, even for price wars for scrap between metallurgical plants. This also affects scrap collection negatively because it becomes unprofitable for independent scrap collection companies to work, and they do not only stop their activities, but they sometimes cannot even start. The current deficit is more than 200,000 tons, and it will increase. There's also a negative trend in export activity in Russia right now. In part, the deliveries cannot be made due to the fact that exporters did not reduce the volume of their supply obligations, while the volume of scrap collection was significantly reduced. Some countries are independently cutting scrap purchases from Russia. As an example, Japan has stopped the purchase of recycled aluminum due to lower levels of consumption. So our forecast is that the metal scrap collection volume will continue to fall in May, with estimates of a moderate growth in June. Prices are expected to rise in May and June, then they're expected to decline due to lower demand from metallurgists, despite the current shortage of scrap today. And the medium-term scenario is that scrap collection by year will drop from 33 to 31 million tons, provided that scrap exports are maintained.
Again, focusing on the billion tons global seaborne energy coal markets, our understanding, our long-term macro forecast is that the market is flat to slowly growing. The key growth area is Pacific region and Asia Pacific countries in particular. There is certainly a decline in the West, minus 0.5 to minus 1.1, minus 2% CAGR, cumulative annual growth rates in the West, as opposed to growth between, let's say, 0.5 to 2% per annum on a 10-year horizon in the East. The key consuming regions for energy coal, as we see them, are located in Southeast Asia, with the key growth coming from Vietnam, Taiwan, Malaysia, Philippines, followed by Pakistan and smaller Asian countries. Of course, India will continue to be #1 global energy coal importer, and China will be slowly ceding its currently #1 position to become #2, because it's gradually winding down the coal seaborne demand as it's winding down or supporting its domestic production and looking at other energy sources.
For example, I spend quite a bit of time daily on communicating with people in the fintech sector that hopefully will help to emerge in that post-coronavirus time in a different format, more flexible or adaptable to the new times, i.e. we have to relearn how to make money. And we have to relearn based on, I mean, not 100% fortunately, but in some areas, in some sectors or subsectors.
Okay, thank you. Sure, I can. So basically, yes, export is a very, very important industry, export of scrap in the Russian Federation. As I said, we are number 5 in terms of metal scrap exports. And since 2000, exports of recycled metals have brought us more than $20 billion US. So according to the statistics we have, the customs statistics, the export in by the end of 2019, it compared to 2018, decreased by 21.9%, or by 897.8 thousand tons. So up to the level of 3195.1 thousand tons. So the main reason is the restriction of exports through quotas that took place from the period from September the 1st to December the 22nd, 2019. And these restrictions, they were approved by decree of the Russian government on August the 31st, 2019. So I think this answers the first question, right, on the volume and the comparison to the previous year.
Well, I would say there are 3, maybe 4 ways to answer this question. First, coal mining industry is a cyclical industry. So the down cycle that we're going through right now is nothing new and nothing that hasn't already happened several times over the past 20 years that Russian coal mining is privatized and is completely private. Just as a side note, coal mining is the only totally private industry in Russia, 100%. None other industry is 100% private. Not even metallurgy. There is still state there. So we have gone through several crises over the past 20 years. We're always equipped ourselves to withstand. It's always been a strive for better productivity in Russian coal mining, and the industry has, as a whole, has moved from the 4th quartile to 3rd and 2nd quartile over the past 10 years.
Well, I actually don't think the post-corona times will come very soon. The positive estimates from lots of leading virology and epidemiology agencies in Europe and worldwide estimate 18 to 22 months. So only very strong businesses are going to see it through to the post-corona times. But, you know, on a very general note, human being is one of the least and at the same time most adaptable creatures on the planet. We haven't changed our features in thousands of years. But we constantly learn and adapt, and our ability to adapt is innovation. And I agree with Vladimir, both Vladimir and Vladislav, it's time to innovate.
Look, all the Russian steel mills and the pipe mills are financially quite strong, and at the moment, and also the oil and gas companies are pretty strong. Actually, even if this coronavirus would not have happened, there are enough opportunities and enough tasks in front of the industry to perform First of all, the first and foremost is the import substitution. And because of that, if Russia has to have a place in the LNG market sometime soon, so they have to have their own technologies in the Arctic Sea, in the Sea of Barents, to be able to do all that. And most of the equipment comes from abroad, has to be made here.